The notification hit my screen at 9 a.m. sharp. Transfer complete. $45,000 sent to Amalfi Luxury Rentals. I stared at the confirmation, feeling that warm glow of being the provider, the one who made the user experience of my family's life seamless. I dialed my mother Lisa, ready to discuss our flight upgrades. She answered on the second ring, background noise of clinking glasses and laughter already loud. "Mom," I asked, "I'm looking at the itinerary. We need to synchronize our arrival." There was a pause, then a sigh that sounded like I was interrupting a toast. "Oh, honey," she said, her voice breezy. "We're already here. We left 3 days ago. It's a circle of trust trip, Sydney. Just real family." The line went dead. The phone stayed in my hand. Tears, no. Those are just data points the body releases when it can't process the loss calculation fast enough. I just looked at the $45,000 deduction and watched my internal metrics flatline. Have you ever poured your heart and wallet into people who treated you like an option? Drop a comment below with where you're listening from. I want to hear your story. My apartment in Chicago was silent, except for the wind rattling the old window frames. It was 10 degrees outside, a gray biting cold that seeped into the walls. I sat on my secondhand sofa, wrapped in a blanket, staring at my phone. Instagram was already flooded. Photos of my mother, father, and sister Kayla raising glasses of Prosecco on a sun-drenched terrace in Amalfi. The captions were all about family first and blessed life. I scrolled back, further back. 3 years of financial records on my banking app. The numbers were stark black and white evidence of my own stupidity. Rent payments for my parents, emergency medical bills that always seemed to coincide with new iPhone releases. And then there was Kayla, my sister, the lifestyle influencer whose startup costs I had funded. A ring light here, a professional camera there, a website design package. $128,000. That was the total. Over 3 years, I had transferred $128,000 to people who had just left me in a Chicago winter while they toasted with my money in Italy. I didn't feel generous. I didn't feel like a martyr. I felt like a forensic accountant staring at her own embezzlement case. I realized then what I had been doing. It wasn't charity. It wasn't duty. It was the sunk cost trap. I was a gambler at a slot machine that had never paid out, not once. But I kept feeding it quarters, checks, transfers, Venmo payments, convinced that if I just put in one more coin, the machine would light up. I thought the next check would be the jackpot of their approval. I thought if I paid enough, I would finally buy my way into that circle of trust. But the house always wins, and I was the only one losing. I looked around my apartment. It was clean but sparse. I drove a 10-year-old car. I shopped at discount grocery stores. I had denied myself everything so I could give them everything, believing that my sacrifice was a down payment on their love. But looking at those photos of Kayla laughing in a designer swimsuit, I had likely paid for the illusion shattered. I wasn't an investor in this family. I was the bank. And banks don't get invited to dinner. They just get visited when a withdrawal is needed. I put my phone down. The cold in the apartment felt different now. It wasn't just the Chicago winter. It was the chill of absolute clarity. I had spent a fortune trying to be valuable to them, but to them, my value began and ended with the transfer button. The window framed a gray skyline. The anger that rose in me wasn't hot or fiery. It was clinical. It was the quiet, deadly calm of a system audit that finally found the bug. Time to close the casino. There was no glitch in my reaction. No system crash. Just a cold reboot of my priorities. My desk became mission control. Laptop open banking portal glowing with the blue light of cold hard data. First, the recurring transfer. Parents' housing support. $4,200 scheduled for the first of every month. The cursor blinked, waiting for hesitation. My training kicked in, red flags get eliminated. Cancel recurring payment. A pop-up asked if I was sure. Yes. The lifeline severed with one keystroke. Next, the credit cards. I had authorized my mother as a user on my Platinum Reserve card for emergencies. The recent transaction history told a different story. $300 for a welcome dinner at a Michelin star restaurant. $500 for resort wear. Manage authorized users. Lisa's name appeared like a line item in a fraud report. Remove user. Freeze card. Access denied. 2 words that felt like justice. Finally, the travel agency portal. Since I had booked everything, I had the administrator log in. The itinerary loaded. They were scheduled to stay for another 10 days. First class flexible tickets, fully refundable. I selected all 3 tickets, Kenneth, Lisa, Kayla, cancel booking. Then the villa. I had paid the 50% deposit, but the final balance of $12,000 was due to be auto-charged tomorrow. The card on file went dark with one click. Then I sent a message to the rental agency through the portal. Please be advised that the card ending in 4021 is no longer valid. Please seek immediate payment from the current occupants or terminate the stay. Confirmation emails rolled in: cancellation, refund, card freeze. Each one felt like closing a loophole in corrupted code. For years, I had treated my generosity like an admission ticket. I thought my family was an exclusive club, a VIP lounge, and if I just paid the cover charge, they would let me in. I thought the money was the price of the ticket. I thought if I bought the most expensive seat, they couldn't ignore me. But looking at the booking canceled notification, I realized the truth. It wasn't a ticket, it was a toll. I was paying a toll to drive on a road that didn't lead anywhere. I was paying to cross a bridge that they burned down the moment they got to the other side. They didn't love me for paying the toll. They just loved that the gate opened. The chair creaked as I leaned back. The apartment was still freezing, but inside I felt a different kind of heat. It was the friction of a machine stopping. The Bank of Sydney was closed. The toll booth was boarded up. If they wanted to stay in paradise, they could pay for it. If they wanted to come home, they could buy their own tickets. And if they wanted a daughter, they were going to have to learn that I was no longer a subscription service they could renew at my expense. The laptop screen went dark. The silence in the room was absolute. It was the most peaceful sound I had ever heard. It started an hour later. My phone lit up on the desk, vibrating against the cheap laminate. Lisa. I didn't pick up. I just watched the screen glow. Then came the texts. Card declined at dinner. Is there a fraud alert? Fix this immediately. Sydney, answer your phone. The waiter is staring at us. This is humiliating. Call the bank now. I let them pile up. It was fascinating in a detached way. For years, my mother's texts had been sparse, transactional. Happy birthday 2 days late. Can you transfer a little extra this month? Now suddenly I was the most important person in her world. Not because she missed me. Because without me, the transaction failed. Then came Kayla. DM on Instagram. Are you serious right now? We're trying to pay for the yacht rental and the card isn't working. You're embarrassing me in front of my followers. I posted about this trip, fix it, not a word about leaving me behind, not a word about the circle of trust lie, just anger that the ATM had stopped dispensing cash. Finally, a voicemail from my father, Kenneth. I played it on speaker, my voice recorder app running on my laptop to capture it. Sydney, his voice was tight, controlled rage. I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but you need to stop it. Your mother is in tears. You're acting unstable. This is erratic behavior, cutting off your family like this. We're worried about your mental state. Call us back before you do something you can't undo. Unstable. Erratic. The words were chosen carefully. They weren't just mad. They were building a narrative. I saved the recording. Evidence gets archived. I didn't respond to a single message. Instead, I opened a new browser tab and searched for Forensic Accountant Chicago. I found a name. Miss Jennifer. Top-rated, specializing in family fraud and asset tracing. I dialed her number. This is Jennifer, a crisp voice answered. Hi, my name is Sydney. I need to hire you for a comprehensive audit of my personal finances over the last 3 years. Specifically transfers made to family members for property expenses. What are we looking for? She asked. I've been paying $4,200 a month for my parents' mortgage. But I just realized something. They bought that house 30 years ago. In this market, with their original loan terms. The math doesn't work. The house should have been paid off. I see. Her tone shifted from professional to sharp. If the money didn't go to the house, we'll find where it went. I can start tomorrow. The call ended. Outside, the Chicago wind howled, but I felt a strange calm. My family was panicking in paradise, realizing their credit limit had been reached. Meanwhile, I was just getting started. They thought I was unstable. They were about to find out just how focused I really was. Miss Jennifer arrived at my apartment the next morning. She was exactly what I needed, sharp, efficient, and completely unimpressed by drama. She set up her laptop on my coffee table, the only piece of furniture in the room that wasn't thrifted. I've gone through the public property records and cross-referenced them with the transfers. Sydney, you were right. Your parents' home in the suburbs has been paid off for 7 years. There is no mortgage. Cold sweat prickled my skin. Nausea rolled in my stomach, not from shock, but from confirmation. So where did the money go? Here. She clicked on a file. For the last 3 years, the $4,200 you sent monthly was immediately transferred to a holding company called K&L Ventures. That company owns a single property. She pulled up a listing. It wasn't a house. It was a luxury condo in the Gold Coast district. 2 bedrooms, floor to ceiling, windows a doorman. Who lives there? The deed is in a trust, but the utilities are in the name of Kayla Vance. Kayla. The room seemed to tilt. My sister, the struggling influencer who lived with friends to save money. The sister whose startup costs I had funded. The sister I had just paid to fly first class to Italy. She wasn't struggling. She was living in a $1 million condo that I was paying for. They set this up 3 years ago, right around the time you got your promotion. They used your income to secure the loan, but the title is structured so that it passes directly to Kayla after 10 years. You have no equity. You have no ownership. You are simply the revenue stream. The golden child dynamic. I'd read about it, but seeing it in a spreadsheet was visceral. Kayla was the prize, the reflection of everything my parents wanted, to be glamorous, admired, living in luxury. I was the utility. I was the power plant that kept the lights on. They loved Kayla for existing. They loved me for providing. I was the battery. She was the device. Is this illegal? It's deception. But since you sent the money voluntarily, it's civil fraud, not necessarily criminal theft, unless— She tapped a key. Unless they forged your signature on the loan documents as a co-signer to get the better interest rate. She pulled up a PDF, a loan application. There at the bottom was a scrawl that looked like mine but wasn't. That's not my signature. Then it's bank fraud and identity theft. Now we have leverage. The condo on screen was nicer than any place I had ever lived. My parents hadn't just used me. They had cannibalized my future to feed my sister's present. They had stolen my credit, my money, and my trust to build a shrine to the daughter they actually wanted. The nausea evaporated. What replaced it was the cold clarity of a closing argument. Print it. Print everything. My phone rang again 2 days later. This time it wasn't a family member. It was the doorman. Miss Vance, there are several people here to see you. They say it's an emergency. Send them up. I opened the door to find my entire family standing in the hallway. Kenneth red-faced and sweating in his designer coat. Lisa clutching a handkerchief. Kayla looking less like an influencer and more like a frightened child. And leading them Mr. Travis, a man I recognized from his billboards as a Bulldog family attorney. Sydney Vance, Travis barked, stepping into my living room without invitation. Get out. We're here to serve you. He thrust a packet of papers at me. This is an emergency petition for conservatorship. Your parents are filing for immediate control of your financial and medical decisions. I took the papers. Didn't read them. Just looked at my parents. You're trying to commit me. You're not well, Sydney. Lisa sobbed, her performance Oscar-worthy. Cutting off your family, canceling our flights. This isn't you. It's a manic episode. We need to protect you from yourself and protect your assets. Travis added smoothly. Your sudden, erratic financial behavior, stopping long-standing support payments, freezing accounts, is clear evidence of a break. Erratic financial behavior. They were using my refusal to be their ATM as proof of insanity. It was brilliant in a sick way. If they controlled me, they controlled the money again. They could reinstate the transfers, pay off the condo, and keep their golden child in luxury while I was medicated in a facility. You want control of my finances. The coffee table held my response. I picked up the file, miss. Jennifer had prepared. Let's talk finances. I handed the first document to Travis. This is the deed to a condo in the Gold Coast, purchased 3 years ago, titled to the K&L Trust beneficiary, Kayla Vance. Travis frowned, looking at the paper. And this, the loan application landed in his hands, is the bank financing for said condo, co-signed by Sydney Vance. The silence stretched. Professional tension is just oxygen before the match drops. Except I didn't sign it. My signature was forged. That's bank fraud. Federal bank fraud. Kenneth went pale. Lisa stopped crying instantly. Kayla looked at the floor. And this, the final paper, is the foreclosure notice I received this morning. Since I stopped sending the mortgage payments to your shell company, the bank hasn't been paid. They're seizing the condo in 30 days. My parents became defendants in real time. You stole my identity to buy a house for her. My finger pointed at Kayla. You used my credit, my income, and my trust to build her a life while I froze in this apartment. And now you want to declare me incompetent. Travis received the full case file. If you proceed with this petition, I will file criminal charges for fraud, identity theft, and elder abuse since they're claiming to be my caretakers. I will send this file to the district attorney, the IRS, and every news outlet in Chicago. Travis looked at the documents, then at my parents. He saw the guilt on their faces. His briefcase snapped shut. You didn't tell me about the forgery. The accusation landed on Kenneth. It was a misunderstanding, Kenneth stammered. I'm withdrawing the petition. I'm resigning as counsel. Good day. He walked out. My family stood there, stripped of their weapons, exposed in the harsh light of the truth. The condo, Kayla whispered. I'm going to lose the condo. You never owned it. I did, and I'm foreclosing on us. Sydney, please, Lisa begged, reaching for my hand. We can fix this. No, you can't. The bank is closed. The toll booth is gone. And you are trespassing. The door opened under my hand. Leave. Before I call the police and show them the forgery right now. They left. They walked out of my apartment and out of my life, leaving nothing behind but the silence of a victory that felt like survival. It took 3 months for the dust to settle. 3 months of silence from my phone, which was the greatest gift I could have given myself. I heard about the fallout through mutual acquaintances. The foreclosure went through. The Gold Coast condo, the symbol of Kayla's success, was sold at auction. The proceeds barely covered the bank's lien and the legal fees. There was nothing left over. Kenneth and Lisa were forced to downsize. They sold their suburban home, the one I thought I was paying for to cover the remaining debts and avoid prosecution. They moved into a 2-bedroom rental on the outskirts of the city. No more Amalfi trips. No more Michelin dinners. Kayla's influencer career imploded. Without the luxury backdrop I had funded, her content dried up. She had to get a job. A real one. I heard she's working retail now. As for me, I'm still in Chicago, but not in that freezing apartment. I bought a small place of my own. It's not a penthouse, but it's warm and it's mine. Every piece of furniture, every bill paid, belongs to me. I sat on my balcony, watching the city lights. I opened my banking app one last time. The balance was growing again, healthy and untouched. I scrolled to the favorites section where I used to keep the shortcut for family transfer. It was just a button, a few pixels on a screen. But pressing delete felt like cutting a chain that had bound me for a decade. The app closed. Email opened. A confirmation sat at the top. Flight confirmation, Chicago to Rome. 1 passenger. I was going back to Italy. Not for them, for me. I was going to eat pasta and drink wine and look at the ocean without paying for anyone else's view. Revenge isn't always about destruction. Sometimes it's just about reclamation. I had reclaimed my money, my future, and my self-respect. The toll booth was gone. The road ahead was open. And for the first time in my life, I was driving it alone, and I had never felt more free. If you're the one paying the toll for your own family, stop. The gate shouldn't be locked. Share this if you're ready to walk away from the table where love is served with a bill.